You ever watch a room go silent, like really silent, and you know something's off, but no one wants to say it out loud? That's what happened across the NFL offices the moment Shedeur Sanders didn't suit up for a Friday night preseason game. The game went on. The lights were on. The broadcasters filled the air with forced enthusiasm. But something was missing. Actually, someone was missing. And not just from the field. He was missing from the energy. From the camera cuts. From the social feed buzz. From the reason people even tuned in. That's when it hit everyone. Executives, coaches, sponsors, fans. Without Shedeur Sanders, the NFL just isn't the same.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Let's be honest. This wasn't supposed to be the story. He's a rookie. He wasn't even drafted in the top 3. And yet, somehow, the absence of one first-year quarterback in a meaningless preseason game caused the NFL's entire media engine to misfire. The numbers dropped. The engagement flatlined. The merch stopped flying. And worst of all, people stopped caring. 1 minute, Shedeur's viral warm-up clips are dominating Twitter. The next, Dylan Gabriel's checkdowns are barely registering on anyone's radar. And you can practically hear the panic behind closed doors. Because this wasn't a fluke. This was a signal, a loud, flashing, unignorable warning sign. The NFL's future isn't team first anymore. It's star first. And Shedeur? He's the prototype. The face of the new model. The quarterback who came into the league not just to play the game, but to own the narrative. From prospect to pulse of the league. Let's back it up. Shedeur Sanders didn't come into the NFL quietly. He arrived with a spotlight, an entourage of expectations, and a resume built on both performance and presence. He wasn't just a quarterback, he was a story. And in today's NFL, story sells. His debut? Instant classic. He threw like a veteran, carried himself like a leader, and lit up the field with poise and precision. Fans ate it up. Analysts couldn't stop talking about him. TikTok clips of his pre-snap reads went more viral than most regular season highlights. So when he didn't play Friday night, it didn't feel like rest or caution. It felt like pulling the plug on the show. And that's when we all realized, Shedeur isn't just a rising star. He's already the main event. The ratings collapse heard round the league. The broadcast team tried their best to spin it. We're excited to see what the Browns' depth looks like at quarterback. Big opportunity for Gabriel to prove himself tonight. But the viewers weren't buying it. Without Shedeur, the vibe was off. The fans tuned in for a spectacle and got a shrug. ESPN's engagement plummeted. Jerseys stopped moving. The NFL app push alerts didn't even feel urgent. It was like the machine lost its battery. That's the danger of building your empire on stars. When the star's not there, the product dims. The clash of eras, coaches versus commerce. Here's where it gets sticky. Old school football people hate this conversation. They believe in process. Representatives earning it the hard way. They want their rookies humble, quiet, and patient. They don't care about branding or YouTube documentaries or pre-game watch flexes. But the NFL does. The league has to. Because while coaches are worried about depth charts, marketing execs are worried about brand equity. Shedeur isn't just another arm in the room. He's the face of a generation that's reprogrammed what it means to be a fan. And when the Browns benched him, the culture war came to a head. On one side, coaches trying to protect tradition. On the other, a billion-dollar ecosystem depending on individual player momentum to keep the machine alive. Spoiler, the ecosystem always wins. Fans follow players, not teams. This is the part where the NFL has to finally admit what's been true for years. The teams don't matter as much as they used to. Sure, hardcore fans still ride or die for their cities. But the younger crowd? They follow personalities. Storylines. People. And Shedeur has people by the throat. He's the crossover sensation. The quarterback with the charisma of a pop star and the calm of a 10-year vet. He's not just playing for Cleveland, he's playing for attention. For the brand. For every kid who's more likely to own his highlights than a Browns hoodie. So when that player disappears, even for a single night, it's not just a coaching decision. It's a commercial disaster. Shannon, Barkley, and the avalanche of criticism. You could almost hear Shannon Sharp fuming the moment Shedeur was scratched. The takes came hot and fast. How are you going to build up a guy, turn him into a phenom, then park him for Dylan Gabriel? Why put the future of your franchise on ice when the league clearly needs him now? Charles Barkley even chimed in from the NBA world, calling it bad business. And he's not wrong. The Browns didn't just bench a player. They benched momentum. They benched relevance. They benched the reason half the country was watching a preseason game in the first place. When the NFL becomes a reality show, let's stop pretending. The NFL isn't just a sport anymore. It's a weekly reality show with helmets. Each team is a season. Each quarterback a character. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is the breakout lead with main character energy. He's the quarterback that gets ratings. The one who makes highlight reels feel cinematic. The one who turns post-game interviews into memes. And when you remove that, you're left with filler. With recycled cliches and lifeless drives and 3-and-outs that no one rewatches. Which is exactly what happened Friday night. And the viewers noticed. So did the sponsors. So did the NFL's commercial partners. So did every team in the league asking themselves, are we next? The identity crisis no one wants to talk about. The NFL is now facing the ultimate paradox. They want to preserve tradition, teamwork, humility, slow development. But they also want to print money off stardom. And they can't do both. Not anymore. Because you can't push a rookie like Shedeur into the spotlight, craft an entire media narrative around his rise, then suddenly act like he's just another guy. You made him the face. And now you have to deal with the consequences when you try to hide him. You can't build a reality show and then pull the star off-screen for strategy. The audience won't forgive it. The culture won't forgive it. And the business sure as hell won't. So what now? The NFL has a choice. Embrace what the league has become, or risk falling behind. It's no longer about 53-man rosters and balanced schedules. It's about spotlight management. Knowing which players drive your brand. Knowing which moments will trend. Knowing that sometimes, a single name carries your entire product. And right now, that name is Shedeur Sanders. Don't bench that. Don't mute that. Don't overthink that. Because if the NFL learned anything this week, it's this. You can replace plays. You can replace schemes. But you can't replace star power. And when the star leaves the screen, the show falls apart. So here's the memo to every exec, coach, and old-school lifer clinging to the past. Adapt or fade. Because the next time Shedeur sits, the audience might not come back. Because while everyone's focusing on the ratings crash and the Shedeur-sized hole in the NFL's Friday night game, what's really unraveling here is something much bigger. What we're witnessing is a full-on shift in power, a silent but very real rebellion against the league's old hierarchy. For decades, the NFL has functioned like a military structure. Coaches at the top. Players follow orders. Rookies wait their turn. Stars rise through the approved channels. And the league controls the narrative from above. But now, the players are the platform. The audience chooses the content. And the coaches? They're not running the show anymore. Let's call it what it is. The NFL is in the middle of a player-first revolution, and Shedeur Sanders is the face on the flag. Shedeur didn't just arrive. He bypassed the line. Think about how wild this is. Shedeur Sanders didn't do the slow build. He didn't earn it quietly. He bypassed the whole system. One preseason performance and a social media presence later, and he's already leapfrogged past guys who've been grinding for years. And it's not just because he's flashy. It's not just because of the name. It's because he tapped into what the NFL really wants but can't admit it wants: relevance. That's the new currency. Not just wins. Not just completion percentage. Cultural capital. Who's getting clipped on TikTok? Who's making people care in August? Who's generating more engagement than entire divisions of teams? The answer, Shedeur. So when he sits, the silence is deafening. It's like removing the power source from a machine and pretending it's still running. It's not just about viewership, it's about control. Let's talk power dynamics. What this whole situation exposed is how uncomfortable the NFL still is with players having actual control. They're okay with personalities up to a point. Dancing in the end zone? Posting practice highlights? Fine. But building a brand that actually threatens the league's monopoly on storytelling? That's when the sirens go off. Shedeur is one of the first rookies to come in with preloaded leverage. Not from contract negotiations, but from audience loyalty. He brought his own following into the league with him. And that is terrifying to the NFL's power structure. Because suddenly, this isn't just about the Cleveland Browns quarterback room. It's about whether or not the league can keep pretending it owns the spotlight when certain players shine too brightly. This isn't just a Browns problem. It's a blueprint. And here's the real kicker. Every team is watching this unfold. Every locker room has a Shedeur in the making. A charismatic, media-savvy, ready-to-pop talent that could light up the league, if only their coach would get out of the way. So what's stopping them? Fear of backlash. Fear of disruption. Fear of being the team that skipped the process. But what they should really be afraid of is irrelevance. Because the Browns thought they could bench Shedeur and get away with it. That the game would carry itself. That the fans would tune in anyway. They were wrong. And now, every GM with a flashy rookie sitting third on the depth chart is suddenly rethinking everything. The NFL has a star-maker problem. You know what this debacle also proved? The league doesn't know how to handle success it didn't manufacture. The NFL loves when a player becomes a star on their terms. Through league-produced features. Through league-approved narratives. Through the slow, carefully managed rise to fame. But when someone like Shedeur skips that process, when he brings his own media machine, they freeze. They don't know what to do. Do they lean in and let him become the face of the league? Or do they try to suppress it, bury him in the rotation, give generic injury updates, and pretend everything is according to plan? The answer so far? Bury and deflect. And that strategy is already backfiring. Because the fans can smell it. The media knows it. The culture has spoken. And you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Even the veterans are watching their backs. Here's the part no one's talking about yet. You think this only affects rookies? Think again. Veteran QBs are watching this unfold, and they're nervous. Not because Shedeur's taking their job, but because their whole way of rising through the ranks is becoming outdated. The old formula, stay quiet, wait your turn, grind for years before you even get to speak at a press conference, is officially broken. One viral game, one 60-second mic'd-up clip, one Nike ad, and suddenly, that rookie is the face of your franchise. And you're holding a clipboard wondering what just happened. That's the new NFL. It's fast. It's ruthless. It's entertainment first. And it's here to stay. The league's strategy is eating itself. And maybe the wildest irony of all? The NFL built this monster. They encouraged player branding. They leaned into personality. They partnered with content platforms. They made the Pro Bowl a flag football game. They told players to go viral. They just didn't expect rookies to figure it out faster than they did. Shedeur Sanders played the NFL's game and won. Now they're scrambling to rewrite the rules. But it's too late. The audience isn't dumb. They saw what happened. They saw who lit up the field and who lit up the headlines. And they saw who didn't play and how the entire game collapsed because of it. The new QB controversy isn't about skill, it's about influence. Here's a wild thought. Maybe Shedeur isn't even that far ahead of the other quarterbacks in terms of raw talent. But what he is light years ahead in cultural leverage. And in today's NFL, that might be the only stat that really matters. He gets people watching. He gets people talking. He gets people invested. And at the end of the day, that's what every league exec, every team owner, and every sponsor is actually chasing. Not yards. Not passer rating. Relevance. Final thought. This is just the beginning. This isn't about one game. It's not about Shedeur missing one night of preseason action. It's about the fact that for the first time ever, the absence of a rookie quarterback cracked the illusion that the NFL is bigger than any one player. And now that the illusion is shattered, it's never going back. The NFL can either embrace this new era, One where stars are the product, where player-driven narratives dominate, and where the audience follows people, not logos. Or it can cling to the past and get left behind. Because if Shedeur doesn't start soon, the fans won't just get mad. They'll stop watching. And in the modern NFL? That's the only loss that really matters. Every executive with a headset still believes in the eye test. Practice film. Grit. Pad level. And yes, those things matter. But here's what matters even more in 2025. Who's showing up on your feed? And guess who is? Not Joe Flacco. Not Kenny Pickett. Not even Patrick Mahomes, some weeks. It's Shedeur Sanders. And not because some league intern decided to post about him. It's because the algorithm, cold, impartial, data-obsessed, keeps surfacing him. But because people are watching. People are clicking. People are engaging. And you cannot cheat the algorithm. You can't coach around it. You can't bench it. It reflects one thing, cultural heat. So when the Browns decide to keep Shedeur in sweatpants for another preseason game, what they're actually doing is fighting the algorithm. Trying to steer a ship that's already been rerouted by public interest. And guess what? The algorithm always wins. Shedeur is the NFL's first Gen Z franchise player. Let's pause and think generationally. Shedeur isn't just a quarterback. He's the first real Gen Z franchise face. What does that mean? It means he doesn't play the NFL's media game. He doesn't need Good Morning Football to gas him up. He doesn't need a legacy coach to validate his talent. He has his own platform, his own channels, and an audience that's been growing with him since college. He's fluent in this era. When he posts a highlight, it trends. When he wears a pre-game outfit, it gets posted by fashion blogs. When he goes silent, people speculate like it's a Netflix thriller. This is bigger than X's and O's. It's narrative control. And Shedeur holds the pen. Compare that to Gabriel or Flacco or Pickett. They're still relying on the old system to prop them up. But Shedeur? He is the system. He doesn't need the NFL's help to stay relevant. The NFL needs him to stay relevant. And that scares them. The locker room shift, respect versus resentment. You think this is all happening in a vacuum? Not even close. Inside the Browns' locker room, players see what's going on. They're not just watching film, they're watching who's making noise outside of it. And they know exactly who's bringing the energy. Here's the thing, locker rooms are full of alphas. And nothing rattles an alpha more than when someone rises faster than the system allows. There's a word for that, resentment. You can feel it. The way veterans look when Shedeur's name comes up. The subtle jabs in interviews. The quiet tension between guys who feel they've been earning it for years and a rookie who's suddenly the franchise face without taking 300 snaps. It's not personal. It's positional. It's fear. Fear that the hierarchy is collapsing. That the rules are changing. That clout is replacing seniority. And in a way, it is. Because the NFL locker room of tomorrow won't be run by who has the most seasons. It'll be run by who has the most influence. Shedeur's not just winning games, he's winning the room. Pure chaos. The Browns can't spin this anymore. Let's pivot to the Browns front office, who are currently performing Olympic-level mental gymnastics trying to justify Shedeur's benching. Injury precaution. Quarterback development plan. Evaluating all our options. Please. Those excuses might have worked in 2008. Back when you could bury a rising star and claim it was part of a long-term process. But in this climate, that's just delayed failure. Because every time Shedeur doesn't play, the noise doesn't quiet, it gets louder. And here's the worst part for Cleveland's PR team, they've lost control of the narrative. They don't get to decide how fans feel about Shedeur anymore. They don't even get to decide what version of him shows up in the news cycle. The fans do. The media does. The culture does. And right now, that culture has already cast Shedeur as the hero. The chosen one. The star being dimmed by an outdated, scared system. You can't spin your way out of that. What happens if another team makes the call? Let's play out a scenario. Let's say the Rams or the Falcons, or literally any team sees what's going down in Cleveland and decides to make a move. Maybe it's a trade. Maybe it's a leak. Maybe it's just a social media flirtation. What happens when another team says, "Hey, Shedeur, come run our show?" Here's what happens. Chaos. Suddenly, the Browns go from having the hottest rookie in the league to losing the only player who could have made them nationally relevant. Suddenly, fans turn. Social media explodes. Every loss becomes a referendum. Every press conference becomes a disaster. And every veteran QB on their roster looks smaller by comparison. The Browns lose more than a quarterback. They lose momentum. And in today's NFL, momentum is everything. And here's the wild part. It's not even far-fetched. Shedeur has leverage. The league has eyes. And the clock is ticking. Shedeur doesn't need to start. He just needs to be seen. Let's clear something up. The demand isn't that Shedeur Sanders start tomorrow. It's that the Browns stop hiding him. Let him play. Let him fail. Let him grow. But most importantly, let him be seen. Because he's not just a quarterback anymore. He's a presence. And when you take that off the field, the whole broadcast feels emptier. We're not begging for the Cinderella story to be rushed. We're just tired of watching coaches pretend the slipper doesn't fit because they don't like the color. Let Shedeur into the game. The actual game. Not just the fourth quarter. Not just against third-string defenses. Put him in. Let him lead. Let him shine, or stumble. Either way, at least you're participating in the future instead of hiding from it. This isn't just a flash, it's a franchise shift. To wrap this up, we need to stop acting like Shedeur Sanders is a storyline. He's not a blip. Not a gimmick. Not the flavor of the month. He's the blueprint. For where the NFL is going. For what fans now expect. For how the game gets talked about, covered, and consumed. The NFL can keep trying to smother that energy under outdated development charts and safe decisions, but it won't work. Because when a player can shake an entire league just by not playing, that's not just star power. That's a movement. And Shedeur Sanders? He's not just part of the movement. He is the movement.